Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Rick's Pick. So, they're finally here. The new GWAR figures by Trick or Treat Studio. And I'm really excited about these. We've been waiting a long time for them. A lot of videos leading up to this. So, let's see if these figures live up to the hype. So, the first thing I want to mention is my membership program. So, for $2 a month, you get a lot of extra stuff like blooper reels, behind the scenes, and more. So, without any further ado, roll that intro. All right, so we're going to start looking at these guys in packaging. So all of them have basically the same style packaging. So you got this nice, barrier here. You got the GWAR logo, 17 and up. You get this nice clear shell where you can see the figure. And then you got a personalized front piece here. So you got the saw blade here. You got the name of the character. In this case, it's Jizmack the Gusher. His art. All right. Spin them around this way here. All right. Each one has an individual piece of art for him at the top. So obviously Jizmack has, him with his hammer, the ultimate scum dogs of the universe. It shows everybody that's part of this wave. Collect them all the scum dogs to build Oderus. Now here's the interesting part of this, okay? So when you look at the wording here, all right, intergalactic, excuse me, the intergalactic barbarian Odorus Urungus has been, spread across the universe. You must collect all 5 members of GWAR and the collector's case to assemble Oderus, each sold separate. Now the interesting part about that is it speaks of the collector's case. So for you who do not know, this set was originally supposed to come with a collector's case. So you would get each individual figure, then you would get the collector's case, and the collector's case was supposed to have the Oderus torso in it. But from what I gather from Matt, the reason why the collector case did not become part of this set was due to the tariffs. So I'm wondering if the tariffs made it too expensive to make. I did do a video where Trick or Treat Studios had a booth at the toy convention, and they actually showed the case, and the case looked really cool. So I'm hoping if this line does good enough, we'll eventually get that. But I thought that was a neat thing to point out because of the factor that it's expensive to change card backs. So that happened. That probably that did happen late in production. So the card backs were already made, and it'd be very expensive to switch the card backs and to change that. So they just left it there, and that's totally understandable. I can see why they did. So you got a little bit of legal here. Trick or Treat Studios, Slave Pit Inc., and your SKU. All right, spin Gusher back around. Put him to the side. Got Ballsack here. Same setup. You can see his individual, front piece here. Spin him around this way. All right, you get his art as well. And I'm loving the art that they did for this. I like the art. I love the high detail art that they use for each figure. I think it looks really cool. I'm really liking that a lot. All right. Next, you got Blothar. And normally I wouldn't show each individual one, but because of how the art is on them, and I really do like the art, I want to show the art for each figure. As you can see there, you have his thing up top, tells you a little bit about him and so forth. All right. Next on our list is Pusty here. He has his little spot here. Bring him around. You got his art up there. A little bit about him. And last but not least, Beefcake the Mighty. Alright. That's that. and his art up here, and so forth. So I love the individual art to this. That is really nice. I do like that a lot. I'm really liking how all these figures cases are looking. Actually, they're card backs. So I'm really excited to be opening them up. So with that being said, let's open them up and see what they're about. So first on our list is Ballsack. Now I love the profile to him. I think he looks wicked cool. I love the overall look to him. So now the first thing we're going to do with him is go through his points of articulation. So the head does move. You get some good head movement in here. The jaw opens for a snapping effect. Okay. You get a shoulder joint here and a wrist joint. All right. The arms up. You do not have any kind of middle joint, like no hips or mid-torso. You do have a thigh joint with him. And I believe there is no. The only leg joint you have is the thigh joint. All right. Get him to stay on the stand. There we go. So now let's start looking at his finer details. So first, I always like to start with the head sculpt. I love the head sculpt on him. I think that looks really, really nice. I love the factor that they're using like real fake hair opposed to like just a piece of plastic coming off of the back of his head. I think that's really nice. I do like that overall. All right. Now, the one pet peeve I have with the head is that when you open it up, there's no face in there. Throughout the lore, Ballsack has always had a face underneath the trap jaws. Memory serves, it was because he was actually more of a shy type of character, so he always kept his face hidden behind the trap jaws. But he always had a face back behind there. It was usually blacked out with two white eyes. So I'm kind of disappointed that that isn't there. But overall, I still do believe that the head sculpt looks great. And now let's start getting down into his body. I love the molten look to that with his skull and crossbones. I like how they put that all that detailing into there. The same with his belt. So you have the eye with the wings. Looks really neat. Come around, you get a really good look at the legs. I love the detail into the legs. I think they did a really, really good job with it. And even with his normal skin, you can see like a wash. So they definitely put a wash over his body, kind of give it that darker, grittier look. So I'm liking the attention to detail with this figure. Even in his back spikes here, you can still see that molten lava look to it, which looks wicked. And then back around, even in here, you can see like some blood splatter patterns and all. All right. So overall, he's an excellent looking figure. I love the overall look to him. Now let's look at his accessories. So first off, he comes with Odorus's leg. All right. He comes with a battle axe, which is pretty cool. So it has a combination between blood and some sort of green spew on it, which looks really neat. And last but not least, he comes with a guitar. All right, so the guitar looks really nice. I personally would have really liked to have seen them put a little bit more detail into this, like add the lava effect to his guitar that matches up with his, armor and legs. But still, it's not a bad looking guitar. So now let's see how well all this fits with them. So let's start with this. Now, the thing I'm noticing here is they use a cloth band for the guitar, which is really nice. I've seen a lot of companies use like a plastic, that breaks very easily. So I do like the cloth. I think that's a really nice touch. So let's see how well this fits on him. All right, let's first try to get it over the head. It's going to be the hardest part. All right. All right, let's try the arm first. And over the head, so it does stretch, which is really nice. All right, get that hand here. hand up there. So as you can see, the guitar fits really nice with him. No issues with that. It looks great with them. All right, lift this arm up. Swing the guitar around to the back like he's carrying it. I even get around a couple of these spikes. And then next is his axe here. Now his hands are a little stiff, so there's not a lot of movement for play in them. All right, so you may want to be a little careful with that. All right. Boom. All right, so the axe does fit for a one-hand hold. I don't think we could get the two-handed hold with this just because of the way how it's designed, but we're going to try here. No. Actually, yeah. You want them to hold the axe with both hands, you can. And then you can just maneuver it around how you want it. Let's get this hand up like this. All right. So there you go. So it'd take a little bit of playing around with it, but you could definitely get a two-handed hold with this axe. And I like that. I like when a figure has a bigger weapon like an axe or a two-handled sword, that they can hold it with both hands. It always has a very good profile look to it. So overall, I'm liking the look of him, and I'm liking how his accessories fit with him. So next on our list is Beefcake the Mighty. Now, he has a pretty stunning profile as well. We're going to go through his points of articulation. I'm going to assume they're pretty much similar to ball sacks. So you do get some back and forth head movement. You get a shoulder joint right in here. And you do get a wrist swivel. All right. Once again, no body joint. And you do have a thigh joint. So everything seems to move pretty well with him. I don't have any issues. Matter of fact, we might not even need stands with these figures. Their feet feel kind of flat. So we're going to try it without the stands. All right. So first, let's look at the face. Let's bring them back just a little bit. You could get a good look at that head sculpt. I love the attention to detail. I love how they got the makeup and everything around his lips and eyes. I do feel like that's a very nice touch. Then you got the rivets on the side and, of course, the spiked mohawk on the eye beam, which looks wicked cool. So I love all the attention to detail to that. And now let's get into his body. So I love the detailing in all this. Once again, the armament, it looks like they put a wash over it, which looks good. You got the brass looking bat. And I love the fur on him. So he has these tufts of fur on him that look really cool. It definitely shows that they really wanted these figures to look really good, because they're putting all this extra detail where in most action figures, that would probably just be plastic, like some sort of plastic made to look like fur. So I do like the factor that they did that with them. I love the blood splatter on his legs. I think that looks really, really cool. Come around to this side. Once again, you can see the wash and everything in his arms. And you come around to the back here. You get more of that fur. That looks really nice on him. And then I believe you can actually take his belt apart. So if you want the belt to come off, there's just a little piece here that pops it off, which is pretty cool. All right, I do like all the spikes in it. Now, the reason I wanted to pop that belt off is for this. If you look here, because it kind of interferes, you can see the detailing in his legs. So you can see that there's holes and stuff in his leggings, blood splatter, and what have you. So that's a little bit of detail that you would probably miss without taking that off. The same with the other side. Let's pull this arm up. You can see the same thing on this side. You can see the holes. and all that extra detailing in there that looks really nice. See how easy it is to get this thing back on now that I took it off. Sometimes with soft plastics, it's a pain in the rear to put things back together. All right. Boom. No, actually, that went back together pretty easily. So that's a plus. Now let's look at everything that comes with him. So you got an Oderus arm. All right. You have a sword. A little bit of a blood stain on it, which looks pretty cool. And then, of course, you got his bass guitar. All right. And like ball sacks, has a nylon cord, so it's flexible. So we're going to start off with the guitar first. All right. And it's really nice that they did this because there's a lot of detail to these figures that if you're just going to use a plastic one, it'd be hard to get over. But due to the flexibility of the nylon, it just really gets over everything without any problems. So there he is, playing his bass. No issues with that. All right. Get that off of there. Swing it around to the back. All right. Get his sword here. All right. Works in this hand. A little bit loose, but it does fit in that hand. Let's see if it'll work with the other hand as well. All right. There you go. So it fits a little bit loose in this hand as well, but it works. So if you want it in either hand, you could get it in either hand. No issue. So everything seems to work fine with him as well. So next on our list is Blothar the Berserker. Now, I do like the look of him. I'm not going to get into all his points of articulation just because of the factor it looks like they all basically have the same point, so it's kind of mute to get into each one individually. Plus, it also saved time. But I will say this about him. His points of articulation is he does have a joint here at the wrist, where so far the other figures had it like mid-forearm. So that is worth noting. So now let's take a look at his head sculpt. I do like the head sculpt, though I'm not really digging the blank eyes. That's a personal feeling. I think I would have liked to have actually seen him with pupils. I feel like it would give him more of a personality. I think it would work better with the figure. In my personal opinion, you can see the wash in his horns, which look really nice. All right. I love the open gash here in his head. That is done very well. And like I said, I feel like that's just a personal preference. That's nothing against the design of the figure. That's something that I personally think would make him look better if he actually had pupils. So let's start moving down the body. Now there's a lot of cool details. I love how they did up his nipples here with the leather and rings. That looks really nice. You can see cuts and gashes all in his skin. You know, there's a nice wash here. You can see his little member critter here. The eyes down here, the penis is there, the mouth in the middle. So they did a lot of really nice detail of that. And now that's hanging on a hook. So he is movable. All right. Come around to this side here. You get some really nice detail in the studding and leather throughout his armor and stuff. The same when you get into the legs, you get that blood splatter like the other figures. They did every individual rivet and hook here, which is really nice. The same with his armor. Like if you lift his arm up, you can see each of the rivets are done in there, which is nice. All right, you got the hooks that go into the skin. You can see the aggravation in the skin too. So there's a lot of really cool detail going on with this particular figure. And like Beefcake, he does have the fur around the neck, which looks nice. All right, and then all the open sores and wounds in his legs and arms. There's just a lot of really good detail with him. A lot more than I could probably get into this video, just because there's so much of it. But they definitely did a lot of really good work with the detail with this particular figure. Now, he comes with the other Odorus arm. All right, his shield, which looks wicked cool. I do like the design to that. All right. And he basically has the same sword that Beefcake came with. All right. So now we're going to see how well all this works with him. All right. Get that sword in there. All right. Having a problem. There it goes. Okay. That went in. No issues. Now, one of the problems I'm finding with these figures is that there's not much flexibility to the hands. With some toy lines, what they would do is they would make the hands out of a little bit softer plastic so you could get the weapons in a little bit easier. Or here, I'm having a little bit of an issue getting the shield into this hand. All right. So what we're going to do there is I'm going to get my good old buddy, Mr. Hot Water, and we're going to heat this hand up to see if we can get that shield in there. All right. So I have his hand soaking in a little bit of hot water. Now, this is a common technique for toy collectors and what have you, to where if you have problems putting weapons in a hand, or you have joints that are just too tight and you're afraid to move it, a little bit of hot water for a couple of seconds should loosen up that plastic enough to where it moves a little bit. So now look how much that hand moves. And now I can just easily get the shield in there without any issues. So there you go. Shield works fine. The sword works good. So no issues with him. Keep on going down the list. We have Gusher the Jizmack. Now, like Blothar, his joints are in the wrist. They're not in the forearms. And everything else is basically the same like everyone else. So the head sculpt is pretty cool on him. I like the look to this. So you have his face inside the skull with a broken jaw. All right, you can see the ears up here. You can see his dreads. So I do like a lot of the detailing to that. It looks really cool overall. All right. And now down into the body. And like the other figures, the attention to detail on these guys is just outstanding. So you see this wash that really brings out a lot of the muscle detailing in him. So you can see like all the individual parts of the muscles. If you could get this arm out of the way, you could really see these rib details in there. That looks really nice. I like that. The same with his legs. Like usually with a lot of figures, I don't get much into the legs because not a lot of people do a lot of stuff with legs. But if you look at his legs, you can see the kneecaps into the bones. And even with his feet. So you lift them up a little bit. You can see all the individual bones in his feet, which looks really cool. I like that. Same with his shoulder pad. You can even see a brown wash in the bone patterns. And then, of course, you get some blood splatter on them, just like the other figures. Come around here. Now, his loincloth here is actual cloth. So, like Blothar and Beefcake, they went a little bit extra with him. And instead of just using a plastic, they actually went with a cloth. So you can see his spinal column coming down here. The individual spikes come around here. You can see the skull on his shoulder there. That looks really cool. Just stuck to one of his spikes. So the overall look to him is great. All right. So now he comes with a couple of things. So first thing he comes with is Unlick. All right, that looks cool. I love the detail to this. Even when you get like the light green teeth and you get the green splatter, You get the the Norse writing on the blade, which looks really good. I love what they did to this. I think that looks really nice. All right, you get both of Odorus's shoulder pieces here. All right. He comes with his iconic Warhammer. All right. And he comes with a set of drumsticks, but no drums. And that's probably the one big disappointment with this particular figure, is I would have liked to have seen him do some sort of drum kit for him. Like I know with other rock toys, they would package like each piece of the kit with each figures. Like there was a Metallica set, a Kiss set, and a Motley Crue, and each individual would come with like one piece of the drum set. So I would have wished they kind of would have did something like that with him. But in this case, they probably didn't because they had each of the Odorus pieces, so it might have been too much. But still, to me, it feels a little off that he doesn't have a drum kit, seeing how all the other figures do come with instruments. So now let's see how well this Warhammer works with him. All right. See if we could slide that into the hand. All right. So he could definitely get a one-handed hold. Let's see if we could go for the two-hand. Might be hard with this one, because he doesn't have a lot of... Nah, that ain't even going to remotely happen. So there's no way you're going to get the two-handed hold with him. But still, for what it is, it's pretty cool. All right, so let's get that off of there. See how well these drumsticks fit in his hands. All right, the drumsticks are pretty loose in his hands. All right. Actually, this hand seems to hold it a little bit better than that one. All right, you can maybe work it a little bit to where it fits. All right, you can get them in there. The drumstick feels tighter in this hand, and it feels looser in that one. It may be a little bit looser just because I put the hammer in it, and it might have opened up that hand a little bit more. And that might be what's making it loose. But they do work in his hands, even though he don't have a drum set to play. All right, and last but not least, we got Pustulus Maximus. Now, his joints are in the wrist, just like Beefcake and Ballsack. All right, and other than that, all the joints are the same as everybody else. Now, I do like the head sculpt. I like that whitewash on the head. It really makes the dark blue pop. So I do like that, and the pupils as well. All right, I love the wash to the skulls all over him, so that looks really, really nice. And the detail to his dreads as well. All right. And now let's get into his body. So I love the coloring to his skull and the wool that's on him. That looks really cool. His shoulder skulls look really nice. Now, here's the cool thing about him as we spin him around so you can see. The other guys usually got like a gray or a brown wash, where he got a green wash. And it kind of gives his skin that sickly look to it, you know, that Pustulus is known for. So you can see all these little lesions and stuff all over him, as well as the blood splatter. So that's pretty neat. Come around to the back. You got this spinal cord and shoulder blade set up here. That looks really, really cool. I like that. All right. Then you get more of the lesions and stuff like that on him. So he's a pretty cool looking figure. I do like the overall detail to him. Now he does come with Odorus's arm, but unfortunately I already have that attached to Oderus, so I can't show you that here. But he comes with this sword, a spear, And he also comes with a guitar. So we're going to start with the guitar just like we did with the others. All right. Boom. Get that arm on. All right. Get this into his hand. Get him rocking. All right. Let's get that under there a little bit better so you can really get that hand in place. All right. Let's try to get that lower on the neck. So there you go. You can have Pusty rocking out. No issues with that. Let's spin his guitar around to his back here. All right. Start with the spear. All right. That might be an issue. Let's get that up there. All right. Let's get this other hand on there. All right. Boop. So you can hold the spear with both hands. A little bit hard to get him on there just right. But if you work it, you could probably get him to have a two hold with the spear, so that isn't so bad. You can have him hold it with one hand. You just gotta work it, get it up into that centerpiece. So you can have him hold that. Now, this might be an issue here. So he has this sword here, and it does. I want to see if that will actually fit in his hand. All right. Don't look like that fits very well in this hand. You could probably get it in there so he can hold it. All right, but it's very loose. I would like it so he could hold both weapons, but let's try this. No, that's the spear ain't even going to work with this hand. Not even a little bit. And you get the sword in here. So it looks like he's an either or. So either you have him with the sword or the spear. Now you could kind of finagle, like you saw, the sword into this hand. And if you ain't going to be moving them much, you could probably make it work. But unfortunately, it looks like an either or with his weapons. But other than that, he's an excellent looking figure. All right. So, of course, I saved the best for last, and that's going to be Oderus. Now, he comes in a spew tank here with blood slime. All right. So, you got the GWAR logo. Spin it around. All right. Spew tank. This contains the contents of the final piece to the scumdog Odorus Urungus. A little bit illegal there. All right. And you got the screw-on cap. Now, I did bring down a tub, or at least I thought I had one. Hold up. Here it is. To open him up in it, just because from what I hear from other people, it's not like normal slime. Like, slime is usually pretty thick. They say it's a little bit on the watery side. All right, so it's more of like a spew than a slime. All right. Yeah. Odorus in the baggie here. Get a little bit of that spew slime to go with. All right. So there's the baggie. All right. As you can see, not a whole lot spew left over in there. So he took up most of the room. Let me get my rag here. All right. Let's cut him out of this. All right. Now, looks like he packaged them in the spew. Now, I'm kind of curious to this. So, if they're going to put him in the spew, all right, then why are they putting him in a bag too? I mean, if they're going to just put him in the spew, they might as well just left them out of the bag. But here's the body. All right. Got a lot of hair in here. So that's the unpackaging of him. I'm going to go and clean him up a little bit for this review. Okay. But yeah, that's him right out of the bag. Not too sure why, like I said, why they took the time to put him in a baggie if it was going to be slime anyway. Now I could see if they did it to prevent him from getting slime all over him, but we'll be back. So I got most of the spew off of him. Now, I didn't go crazy taking it off because what I'm hoping, some people said that they had problems getting like the legs on and the arms. So I'm hoping that maybe the spew will act as a lubricant. If not, I think my hot water might still be hot. If not, I might have to, you know, heat it up. So let's try getting one of these legs on. All right, so that leg went on very easily. No issues. All right. Oh, there goes Oderus. All right, let's try the other leg. All right. Oh, no. Hold on. Okay, I see. All right. So that leg is on too. All right. Let's get this arm. See how well these arms pop in. All right, that twisted in there pretty good. And last but not least, the other arm. So what I'm finding out is that the spew is acting as a lubricant. So it makes it easy to put on. I know I saw a couple people say, hey, they had a lot of trouble getting the legs on. So I'm wondering if the people who had problems might have, you know, gotten all the spew off first and then, you know, try putting the legs on. All right. This arm is giving me some problems. Now, one of the issues I am having putting the arms on is these spikes. They're kind of sharp and they're digging into my fingers as I do it, but it's not a major problem. All right. So that's on now too. All right. So his legs are on. Did I put them on right? Yes. Okay. Just making sure I put the legs on right. Otherwise, that'd be pretty embarrassing. Wipe my hands off a little bit more. All right. Now his shoulder armor just pops on. All right. Boom. All right. We got Odorus Urungus in the flesh, looking the way how he should. All right. Let's get this display stand here for him. All right. Come on. Get on there. All right. So there he is in all his glory, and he looks phenomenal. Now, of course, his hair is going to still be a little wet due to the spew. So he went together very easily for me. I had no issues putting him together. Okay. So first, let's take a look at his head sculpt. Now, I do like the head sculpt. I love the coloring to his eyes. Let's move him forward a little bit. I love the detailing in his eyes. They give him a lot of personality and character. And that's what I was talking about with Blothar. That I feel like if he would have had pupils like this, it'd make him pop a little bit more, give him more personality. But I do love the detailing to the head. The head looks really nice. I love the work that they put into him. All right. And then you get down into his armor. The armor looks nice. You can definitely see that there is a wash put onto his armor, because you can see it in the Beat It. The cuttlefish looks great. You know, not often do I have an action figure that we're going to zoom in on his penis, but cuttlefish does look cool. They even put scars and marks all over it. That looks nice. I don't know if it'll stand up. Nope, it just kind of dangles. They gave him pubic hair, which is all nice and wet right now. All right. The stockings look good. I do like how the fishnets look on him. Same with his leg guards. He does have all the same points of articulation. The joint is in the wrist, not the forearm. You got your shoulder joints. Whoops, this one shoulder pad came off. All right. And what have you. All right. Give him the full rotation. I love all the spikes and everything. They really captured the look to him. Whoever was the sculpting detailers for these figures did a phenomenal job. I love that. The overall look to him is just absolutely amazing. And I would say that with all the figures as well. All right. I'll tell you one thing. Looking at my hands after this, I just feel like I was at a GWAR show because I got red spew stained into my hands, which is really cool. Definitely brings that concert feel to it when you take them out. So now we got Unlik. All right. Turn his wrist here. Let's get it in there. All right. Shoulder pad came off. Now, I'm sure you could glue the shoulder pads on if you wanted to, which I might wind up doing to keep them from falling off. All right, let's get it in here. Come on. All right, so I'm having a little bit of an issue getting that in there. There is some play in his hands, but it's a matter of getting it around the thumb. There it goes. Okay, we got him. That shoulder pad back on. All right. So there we go. Boom. Odorus Urungus with his sword, ready to slay the human race. And if he doesn't slay you, he'll rape you first, one or the other. So overall, I do love the overall look to this figure. All right, so let's get into my final thoughts with these figures. So for the most part, the joints work very well on each individual. I haven't had any issues with any of the joints. As for the weapons go and the guitars, for the most part, they fit all right. I didn't have any major issues with any of the weapons. Blothar, I did have to heat his hand up a little bit to get the shield in. But once that happened, that should be fine. No issues with him. The overall look to these figures are amazing. Whoever did the sculpting for these did an amazing job. I do love the overall look to these figures. They definitely capture the look of each individual band member, and they're very well sculpted. I do like the sculpt work that they did with these. These are beautiful looking figures. So I do have some minor issues here and there, but nothing that major. A ball sack, I would have liked to have a face in there. Even though he's an excellent looking figure, it would have just put him over the top for him to have a face in there. I understand they were trying to get that spring action mouth movement, but that would be my issue with him. As I said with Blothar, the only two issues I really had with him is trying to get the shield into his hand, and I probably would have liked to have seen pupils with him. Oderus, I really don't have any issues with him. He's pretty cool. Pusty, I would have liked it so both weapons could fit very well in his hands. They both fit well with this hand. The sword you could kind of get into the other hand, but I would have liked to have seen his weapons go with both hands so he could actually be posed with both weapons. Jizmack, drums, man. You kind of left my man hanging here. It's like you got everybody rocking out with their instruments and like Jizmack's in the back air drumming. So I would have liked to have seen some sort of drum kit with him. Even if it wasn't like a huge drum kick, like maybe just a bass drum, a snare, and a cymbal, I would have been happy with that. At least it would have been something until you guys could figure out making it like a real nice drum set. But the poor man needs something. And Beefcake, I didn't have any real issues with him. Everything was copacetic with him. So Would I recommend these figures? Absolutely. Without a doubt in my mind, I would recommend this set to anybody who's a GWAR fan. And even if you're not a huge GWAR fan, but you like that whole like fantasy, sword and sorcerer kind of look, they would go great with other figures of those lines. So if you're a big Conan person, these guys would go great with that. D&D or whatever type of other fantasy, figures you might have out there. These guys would go great with them as well. They're awesome looking, very well detailed. A lot of love was put into these guys, and you could tell just by looking them over. Now, with the Oderus putting him together, there was a couple of things. So, once again, like I mentioned earlier, people spoke about getting a hard time getting the legs in. And what I'm guessing, and I could be wrong in this, let me know in the comments, is when they were doing it, I think they probably completely dried them off first and then put the legs on. Because I noticed with the spew still on there, it lubed them up. So they popped in very easily for me. I had no issues getting him together. I'm still a little confused why they put him in a baggie, seeing how there was spew in the bag as well. So that I'm not too sure why they did that, but that's not neither here or there or whatever. I do like the fact of after putting them together, my hands are stained red. Definitely gives you that whole GWAR show experience. So I would highly recommend these figures. I love them. They would definitely be a great piece to put with your GWAR collectibles and what have you. And you know what's the best part of these for me personally, and this is on a personal level? I'm happy to see a success with GWAR figures. I know they've been trying for years to get figures. You had that, skinny Beefcake prototype floating around from, like, I believe is early 2000s, late 90s. You had the Hop Odorus, which everybody knows all the goofiness that went on with that. And, some of their other stuff, like their bobbleheads, that just didn't look too great. So it's, to me personally, it's just awesome that they finally got a toy line that just looks this amazing. And I'm really hoping that they can continue it. I would definitely love to see a wave 2 to think of who all would come with that. Like, obviously, if they do a wave 2, Grodius, I'm sure would definitely be part of that set. Hopefully a drum kit, poor Jizmack, and so forth. So with all that being said, I want to give a shout out to everybody who supports this channel. So Action Figure Geeks is a Reddit site that I'm part of that does all things action figures and what have you. They're a big supporter of this channel. The other channel I really want to give a shout out to is Byron Bassett and his alter ego Humongous. He has his own show on YouTube. Check that out. He's been a big supporter of this channel. Plus, he also made the intro and outro that you see on these videos. So, with that being said, check out my GWAR playlist and my music and heavy metal playlist, my membership program, and hit that like, share, and subscribe. They're all small clicks for you, but it really helps this channel grow. So, till the next one, late.